animated film, short animated videos, maybe to also target the children and so also small children who are in schools and nurseries, and just to show the importance of conserving wildlife. Yeah.
Yes, let's give him a clap. Let's give him a clap as well. Yes, that works. And then the beauty of it is this is coming from your own perspective. Sawa sawa. Now, the beauty of animation is you guys are very powerful. Huh? Animators. Animators, oh. Animators are. Animators, oh, are. Animators, you guys are very powerful. You are the only people who can bring extinct animals back to life. Unanielewa? Because it's only an animator who can create a dinosaur or an extinct animal and show that, guys, if we are not careful, the same way we are looking at this animal, in a few years, we will be looking at black rhinos the same way. The same way we are looking at this animal, in a few years, we'll be looking at, let's say, reticulated giraffes the same way. Are you getting me, guys? So you have an opportunity that no one can take it away from you, that you can explore. You guys are doing projects. Are you doing a project? Or what's your project in?
Right now we are doing a project as a group in 3D and 2D.
In?
3D and 2D.
What's the theme? What's the theme of the first? Have you come up with it yet?
Yeah, it's more like school. In an office, in a therapist office, and he's talking with her, and we are using 2D to show us or show the audience the experiences he's had, so that he's there in the office. So you're showing him what's happening. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Any other animator? I want to listen to your projects. Which project are you doing? about carnivores, you're passionate about cheetahs, lions. There are specific organizations that focus on that. Okay? Uh-huh. Yes. There's, there are so many organizations. All those organizations, they have solely focused on birds. Okay? So understand the ecosystem. Learn this organization. Learn where they are meeting. Learn where there are conferences. Learn where there are opportunities. Learn, go to this, go to Nairobi National Park. Go there, visit, go to the orphanage. Talk to them, the ecosystem, so that you can pick what you want to specialize in. Sawa sawa. And this should not take you a lot. Number 2, which is very important, build your conservation portfolio.
Wildlife per se, but now they want to venture into wildlife, but they've never. Can those past documentaries be part of their portfolio?
Yes. Yes.
The employers won't feel like it's irrelevant.
You know, we. You remember the story I told you about the two people I was looking for someone in communication. You remember I told you the person in communication had zero experience in conservation, but he had newsletters, he had posters that he had created, he had social media campaigns that he had created. Any other question? Yes. So when we are talking about conservation portfolio, number 1, skill. Sawa sawa. What skill do you want to use in conservation? Of course, if it's motion graphics, see, that's your skill. If it's film, that's your skill. If it's music, that's your skill. And then you need to pick a project and do it with a theme in conservation. Sawa sawa. So if you have projects that you're already doing, try and align it with conservation. Sawa. Na sisemi kwa sababu I know not everyone will do it. But those who are willing to do it, it's a niche that no one is exploring. So if let's say you have a project and let's say as a graphic designer, your project is to design maybe a storybook. I don't know if it's in the same criteria, but maybe a storybook, a 5-page storybook. Yeah? Yeah, you can turn that storybook and set a theme of conservation in it. That way, you already have a step in conservation. Sawa sawa. Because one of the biggest lessons I learned while I was in school, one of the biggest mistake I did was to wait for me to graduate so that I start networking and looking for opportunities. Hapo nayo niliuma nje. Unanielewa? Yes. Don't wait until you graduate to start looking for these opportunities. That's a mistake. Many people go through that path. Right now that you're a student, it's the best time for you to network, to go into conservation, to look at people providing services in conservation, and for you to kickstart your career. Are we together, guys? Hapo tumesikizana? If you won't pick anything from me today, please pick that. Don't wait for your graduation. Start networking now. Start creating those portfolios right now. Sawa sawa. Then number 3, Connect with the field. What I mean by connect with the field is attend exhibitions, go to summits, go to meetings, go to Kenya Wildlife Service. Just walk in. You know, people think that these organizations are way out of our league. You just walk in. You need to have those round things. Yeah, you need to have solid. Walk in, request for your support, but don't go there demanding. Go there offering service. Offering service. Nobody will deny you free. Nobody will deny you an opportunity to give free service. Even if you're here and you're an animator and you feel like you want to volunteer for Kang for Nature, please come yesterday. Like, I need you yesterday. Do you get what I mean? Or today. That's how bad we are looking for animators. You get? And people in your industry. But we are not just looking for animators. We are looking for animators who understand our industry. You don't have to understand the whole of it. Have a little bit of it. And then create a portfolio that will prove to me, if I give you an opportunity, you won't come and start bothering me. You already know what you want to do. Hadi hapo we are together. Connect with the field. Volunteer. Guys, if you see somewhere people growing trees, just volunteer. It's very fun. And another way to volunteer is through Kang for Nature. Kang for Nature, what we do is we create opportunities for youth here in Nairobi. So we do tree planting in Nairobi National Park. We do tree growing in Karura Forest. We do tree growing in Ondiri, in Kikuyu, in Limuru. So whenever we have an opportunity like that, we call on volunteers. Sawa sawa. Volunteers, you come, you experience, and you have fun. Number 4. Number 4 is land your first conservation gig. 1, you have learned about the ecosystem. You have known where you want to go. Sindio? Number 2, you have built your portfolio. It's very clear. If it's animation, you have something to show. If it's graphic design, you have something to show. If it's film, you have something to show. And remember what I've mentioned to him. Don't delete what you've created, thinking that you have to start afresh. Nope. Build from whatever you have. Number 3, connect with the field. Go to symposiums, volunteer, go to these areas, go to Giraffe Center, ask for opportunities. And then number 4, you land your first conservation gig. Because you have learned the ecosystem, you have a portfolio, you have connected with the field. Now you can reach out to these people. Sawa sawa. Reach out to them via email, walk in. I remember the first time we did tree growing in Nairobi National Park. I didn't know anyone in Nairobi National Park. But what I did, I just walked in. I went to the offices and I told them, hi, we are a group of 300 people. We want to grow trees in Nairobi National Park. Where do we start? And I couldn't believe they were very excited. They told us, you know what, we will give you transport for free. In fact, no one will pay entrance fee. And I was there, because I was wondering, hey, entrance fee, tutalipa aje? How will we get this transport to transport people from Nairobi all the way? They offered it. And the reason they offered it is because we were giving them what? Value. We were giving them what? Value. Haya, are we together, guys? Yes, tusimame to stretch kidogo. Tusimame to stretch kidogo. Nimeongea sana. Haya. Everybody touch your head. Touch your stomach. Touch your knees. Touch your feet. Touch your knees. Touch your waist. Touch your head. Touch your shoulders. Touch your stomach. Touch your knees. Touch your head. Touch your stomach. Touch your shoulders. Let's sit down. When you're approaching someone to get your first gig, be very clear on what you're offering. This is the problem, by the way, I get with most of the people who are who want to begin their career. Someone emails you, hi Collins, I love what you're doing in conservation. I would love to volunteer in your organization. Good. There's no problem with that. And then a second person emails me, hi Collins, I love the work you're doing in tree growing in Nairobi National Park. I'm a professional film and a videographer, and I would love to document the impact that you have in Nairobi National Park. I'm willing to volunteer or join in as an intern. Between the two, who will I choose? Why? You get what I'm saying? So when you send a cold email to an organization, it is your role to ensure that you share what specifically you are going to bring as value. Kwa sababu ukiniambia unataka volunteer, now in my head I'm thinking, now I have to create a position for this guy. Now I have to think what he's coming to do. I have to give him tasks. I don't want that. You're bringing trouble. But if you tell me you're a videographer and you want to do ABC, I will tell you, come. What do you need for you to achieve this? Are we together, guys? So that will really help you to land your first conservation gig. Sawa sawa? Okay. Sawa. And then lastly, number 5, specialize. You have to specialize. Right now in Kenya, if you want someone who wants to do underwater videography and photography, underwater? I only know one person in Kenya who can do it. The guy behind there, Antonio Cheng. I don't know anyone else because he has specialized. But he didn't start in marine. He started with the terrestrial animal, with giraffes, birds, elephants. But then over time he has specialized. That's what I also want you guys to do. At first you can start general. But when you grow, when you become better, you need to specialize. And it will come naturally. You don't have to overthink it. Sawa sawa. The only thing you have to do is enter fast. The rest will come in slowly. Up to there, are we together? Any question? Any question? So I need you to ask yourself these questions. Number 1, what is my current ADMI project or skill? What is my current ADMI project or skill? Answer tu hapo chini. Answer tu hapo chini very fast. I will not ask you what you have answered. For those who are writing. What is my current ADMI project or skill? Number 2. Ini kama ka homework, it will help you to know the direction you want to take. So number 1, what is my current ADMI project or skill? Number 2, which animal, ecosystem, or conservation issue interests me the most? Which animal? You know what I mean by ecosystem? Ecosystem, we have the marine ecosystem yenye kuko kwa coast. We have terrestrial ecosystem yenye kuseme Amboseli, Savo. No. There's so many ecosystem. We have, what are the others? Yeah, there's so many ecosystem. But you need to choose which one you want to go into. Sawa. And then which animal interests you? And then which conservation issue interests you? Because remember, with conservation, it's not just about wildlife. There is climate change. Sindio? The story on climate change, that's another another monster in itself. Yeah? Na sasa hivi venye kunanyesha hivi kuna flood. A year from now manze ati tutakuwa tunalia drought. Ukweli tutakuwa tunalia drought. Next year. You know, in Kenya, years that end with 7 usually are very dry years. Yeah? But that's a story no one has ever told. It's there in research papers, but it's a story no one has ever told. It's a simple yet very important story on climate change and the effects it has on us as Kenyans and farmers, etc. Question number 3. How can I redeem one of the work that I do to fit conservation? And this is in line with the projects you're doing in ADMI. How can I redeem one piece of work for conservation right now? So among everything that you're working on, what is that one thing that you can redeem? Just a way to enter. And then number 4, what is one conservation organization that I can send my conservation portfolio to before the end of the month? What is that one conservation organization that I can send my portfolio to before the end of the month, or maybe next month or something? But just have one in mind. It's usually very good to start there. Sawa sawa? Are we together up to there? Yes, hiyo nimewapatia. You, at your own time, just go through those questions. Try and see how you can answer them very sincerely. Give yourself time. Do proper research, because we need you in conservation. I will share with you just a few organizations that you can consider. WWF Kenya. We have WCS Africa. We have AWF. We have the Sheldrick Trust. We have the Gravy Zebra Trust. We have the African Marine Mammal. We have IUCN. There's so many organizations. Are we together, guys, up to there? Yes. Any question as I conclude? Any question? Tuko sawa? Okay, sawa. So lastly, I want to share something that we have been working on. Because as I had mentioned earlier, the problem that the youth have right now is having that right knowledge that is needed in conservation, and for you to have a right, an easy transition from your career into conservation. Sawa sawa. Now, we have an upskilling program. Sawa sawa. It's a training and upskilling program. The program runs for 4 weeks. Are we together, guys? 4 weeks. We meet every Saturday, and every Saturday we meet in the field. It's not like we're meeting somewhere. No, we meet in the field. We meet in Nairobi National Park. We meet in Karura Forest. We meet in Giraffe Center. We meet in Sheldrick. We meet. So every weekend we will be meeting once a week, and the meeting usually run for the whole day from 8 up to 5. And what we'll be doing there is you'll be meeting people in the conservation industry, and you will be trained in project management, and also each of you will do a project in conservation. So if you are a film and videographer, you will have to do, in those 4 weeks, you have to complete your project. If you are a graphic designer, in those 4 weeks, you have to complete your, if you are an animator, even if it's a 5-second animation, you'll have to complete your project, okay? This upskilling program is also, we have partnered with an organization in the UK called Wild Hub, okay? So once you're completed with this upskilling program, you'll get a certificate in project management. It's called wildlife project management in wildlife conservation. Sawa sawa. So you get a certificate in project management. Number 2, you get to conduct a project in conservation. Sawa sawa. From start to finish. And then number 3, you meet the industry players, because we will be visiting these conservation organizations, be it in Amboseli, be it in Laikipia, be it in Masai Mara, etc. Tunaelewana hapo? Yes. So the program is 10K per person, and it runs for 4 weeks, as I had mentioned. And we only work with 15 people, so we are currently at 8. So we're only looking for 7 people. So anyone who's interested in joining the forum, please talk to Ivan over here on the left, and he will tell you more details about the program. Sawa sawa? Yes, but the goal of the program, give you the right skills, give you exposure, ensure that you finish a project, and then you get certified at the end. Sawa sawa? And then once you finish the project, you are guaranteed for an internship in the conservation organizations that you will be working with. Are we together, guys? Okay. All right. Yeah. I think that's it from me. Yes. That's it from me. I'll leave the room for questions. If there are no questions, maybe we can go for a 5-minute break, and then I will invite Vicky Wangoi to continue. Do we have questions? Okay. Okay. If there are no questions, even after the session, feel free to walk to me, walk and speak to me. Let's engage and learn. Sawa sawa. But the bottom line is this, guys. Right now, every industry is saturated. Sindio? And there are no jobs. Everyone is complaining there are no jobs. But people are working. There are people who have jobs. So what you need to know is where you want to go, how you will reach there, and what tools you need to reach there. Sawa sawa. I hope I've given you all the tools you need for today. Eh? Have you gained something? Sure. Sawa sawa. Aya. Thank you so much. Santeni. Sawa.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. So I'm Ivan. I'm a project manager at Kang for Nature. And Msiboeke, don't get bored. One thing, I have a question. How many of you are here because you are forced to do this course that you are doing? How many of you, the parents are the one who made you do this course? So all of you did because you're passionate about that. But one thing you need to know, passion alone can't help you in this industry. You need to be obsessed. You need to do things that your neighbor right there is not doing. And what are those things? You don't need to wait for the school to give you a project. You can do your own project. You can wake up in the morning, decide on something, and do it. So I have a few questions. This is called speed networking, because in this industry, one thing that is very powerful is network, right? Because you can't get work without network. Maybe if your parents are that rich, you can buy your own work. So if your parents are rich, you can go and buy yourself a job. But if your parents are not that rich, you need to do something called networking. So before I welcome Victoria, Vicky, I want us to engage in a speed networking. So I want you to tell your neighbor your career interest, first your name, then your career interest, and one thing that you are coming to solve in this no work environment. Right? Your name, your career interest, and something you're bringing different in this digital world. Simple. 3 things. Name, career interest, and something you're coming to solve in this environment. Just 2 minutes. Name, career interest, and something different you're going to bring in this environment where we are saying there are no jobs. Name, career interest, and something you're bringing different in this environment. As simple as that. Don't overthink. Just say something that comes first in your mind. Okay, are we done? We are done? It's supposed to be simple. It's supposed to be something that is in your mind every day. You know what difference you're going to bring in this economy. Right? So if you're done, you can tell me I proceed. Okay, that is enough. If you haven't explained yourself up to now, you have a very big problem ahead. If you can't explain yourself in 2 minutes, your name, your career interest, and something different you're bringing, there's a problem. So everyone has explained that is called networking. So if I choose someone here to tell me what he or she has been told by the neighbor, you'll be comfortable to say, right? I'll start with you. Yeah. Tell us her name, her career interest, and something different she's going to bring.
Okay, so her name is Robbie.
Yeah.
Her career interest is becoming an animator, and she wants to she wants to like upgrade the fashion trend in Kenya.
Amazing. Clap for her. That is very amazing. Now it's your turn. His name, career interest, and that one thing that is going to bring in this environment.
His name is Jeremy. He wants to be an animator, and the problem he wants to solve the gaming industry in Kenya.
Amazing. Pass it back behind you. His name, career interest, and that one thing that is going to bring different.
His name is Kelvin. Can you hear me? His name is Kelvin. He wants to be specialize in 2D animation, and yeah.
The problem is coming to solve.
Exaggeration in the field.
Okay, nice one. Clap for him. Now your turn.
My neighbor is Maureen.
Yeah.
She specializes in communication, and she's going to bring photography into the field.
The problem.
Yeah, the problem is maybe there's a way they're not really communicating wildlife. So in a special way, in another line.
Okay, that one is nice. So we will leave clap for him. We will leave it there. One thing you're supposed to know is the problem you're coming to solve, it's supposed to be in the back of your mind, something that if you are outside there and you meet maybe someone who works in Citizen TV and asks you, you want to work with us, which problem are you coming to solve for us? It's something you should start saying immediately. You don't have to overthink. Right now, as you're seated there, you know the problem that you want to solve in the industry. That is how you do networking, and that's how you break the monotony of there are no jobs. Jobs are there, but what value are you bringing to the organizations? Which problem are you coming to solve in that organization? Okay, that is called speed networking. So I don't have much to say. If you can handle yourself in those three aspects, if you go to any conference, if you meet people out there, that is how you network. You tell them your name, your career interest, and that one thing that you want to change in the industry, okay? It is supposed to be as simple as that. That's how you do networking. When you go to conferences, don't just go there for refreshments. Don't just go there to see how people are doing. You network with the person you're sitting with. You don't know if they are going to help you in the future or not, okay? So one thing that I've told you right here, right now, you have to be obsessed with what you are doing. You don't have to wait for the school to tell you, do this project, do that project. Take on any project, do it on your own. Okay? So be obsessed. It's as simple as, let's just go back to you are dating. Maybe you are courting someone. You will have to look good, right? Nobody has to tell you to look good. You will look good for them, right? The same applies in this industry. You have to be obsessed in what you are doing. Like 5 of you are doing animation. All of you will go to the same interview, want the same job, but the position is one. How are you going to beat your friend to get that job? You have to be obsessed. You have to know what you're coming to solve, and that is how you beat the no job scenario. Okay? So thank you. I want to welcome Vicky. She will continue from there. Thank you.
Thank you, Ivan. At Biophilic, we don't like presentation type of workshops. So, how many are we? There are more people coming in. Karibuni. So I think we are all settled. So to begin with, I'd like to ask a question. What is the last conservation story you heard about? The last one you can remember. Yes. What was happening?
I was talking about Wangari Maathai. The last conversation story I heard was she was protecting Karura Forest, yeah, and there was a fight. She got injured, yeah. So that's this last conversation story, and it's a success story that led to her winning the Nobel Peace Prize. Yeah, that's all that's the story I know.
Okay. That's a when did you hear about that story?
My mom loves that story. It's my
Okay.
mom she loves Wangari Maathai. Yeah, she loves this.
She's an amazing human being.
Yeah, she has a framed picture of Wangari Maathai. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. I need to meet your mom. Anyone else? What is the last conservation story you had? in the news, in the papers. Yes.
I don't like mics, but it's okay. Um, at that point would be there's two. One is the mountain bongos that were brought in. That was a big story. I saw it on social media because I like following a lot of Nat Geo and general animal related things. And then the second one that I heard about was um, is it a buffalo? What is it? It's not a cow. It's a buffalo. Yeah, baby buffalo. That was. Sorry, I just had to confirm. It's been a minute. So a baby buffalo that was found in a sanctuary next to in Raiteti, and now they've been given like I think the certificate or like some document that they're able to bring in more animals into the conservation. So now it's being adopted with a baby elephant, and it became friends with it. So it's growing like that. That's the last one I saw.
Okay, interesting. For the bongo story, that man over there was responsible for all the photos
So you're the
that
guy
you
doing
saw
the
on social media. Anyway, I want to divide you in groups of about 4 or 5 people. Nyi mko hapo sawa? Are you guys okay there? There's someone behind you. So can you be in groups of like 4 and 5 people? You can join them. You too. I want you to do a small exercise for 10 minutes. Mko sawa, mko sawa? Everyone is ready? Mko ready? Okay. So, I want you to sell me a species or an ecosystem. Unaona there are so many animators here, graphic designers, the others I have forgot, Poleni. But you have you have 5 minutes to choose a species, an ecosystem, or conservation issues. And you're going to present your group work for 1 minute. So as a group, decide which species you're picking or which ecosystem or conservation issue you're picking and how you're going to sell that species to me. No, it can be just and if it's an elephant, it's an elephant. Don't go to Loxodonta. Yes. For 5 minutes. 2 more minutes. One minute, 1 minute. Where is it now? Hi. So what's happening is people are picking a species and then we discuss it for 10 minutes how you're going to sell it to me. I can start with the other. No, it's fine. Have me in the talk talk is in Kajedo. two stories. The red colobus monkey, which I'm surprised you know about, and the bees. Were there any emotions you felt listening to the stories? Sadness, happiness, grief. Was there any emotion you felt? Can someone explain?
Okay, according to me, I might say yeah, because I didn't know about the monkey, and until he brought it up, that was a new concept for me. So I might say I was quite interested in it. So I was technically happy at that moment. Yeah.
Okay. And did you care?
Yeah, yeah, I actually cared, and I actually think that we should actually point out and communicate regarding these monkeys, and we should value their importance in that vegetation. Yeah.
Okay. And then when it comes to the bees, you mentioned ecosystem services. You shocked me there a bit. You guys are surprising me. But did you care? Did anyone feel they need to care about the bee and losing eating mangoes, sweet mangoes? No one did. And were there any stereotypes that you felt were seen in those stories? Mm-hmm. Any? Mm. Mm-hmm. Okay. For me, one of the stereotypes was we rarely focus on the insects, and the colobus monkeys. So kudos to you guys for not picking elephants and lions. That was really amazing. You want to present? Okay.
Hi guys. Hi guys. So, my group and I were gonna present about the Black Panther. Are you guys aware of the Black Panther? So, funny thing, I've just figured out that's not its original name. It's just a melanated leopard. So that's something crazy. I genuinely thought Black Panther was a whole species on its own. Kumbe, it's not. So, let's start from where they are found. Most Black Panthers, funny enough, most Black Panthers in Africa are found in Laikipia County. Can anyone guess an estimate of how many there are? In the yeah? Close? Anyone else? Guess any. Then average of 6 to 10. And if there are only 6 to 10 in Kenya, imagine how many there are all over Africa. That's a very low number. But then they usually do well in certain specific climates, which are the cool and cold. I've forgotten geography. Cool and cold climate. So these are around the semi-arid savanna climate. I don't know, but I'm sure you can, yeah. So let's go to the problems that we didn't have too much time to research, but I figured out a few problems as to why they are such little in Africa and Kenya. The main problem is the habitat loss. A lot of these Black Panthers are losing their habitat because of stuff like deforestation, migration of communities, urbanization, so they are losing their natural habitats. Others are losing it because of poaching and illegal wildlife activities. So like Black Panthers, they are usually skinned to make clothes, surprisingly. Some are skinned because of their teeth, their claws, such stuff, which are then taken abroad and sold for a lot of money. So, yeah, that's it about Black Panthers.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Do you guys want to share?
Okay, so uh, my group and I, we were to present about the snow leopard. And as much as it's really not an endangered species, it is risk to being endangered. And the reasons why are, first of all, okay, first of all, let me tell you where you can find snow leopards. They are mostly found in the Himalayan region, in the Asian, India countries there. So the reason why we chose this one is because it is not widely known or recognized as much, but it is near extinction because of a few reasons of which I'm gonna elaborate here. Number one is climate change. That's common to almost all endangered species. Number two is human-wildlife conflicts. You see in the Asian countries, mostly China, the population is growing by the day. Millions are being born, which means a lot of people are existing. And so there are those people who live in the same habitat as the snow leopard, which means they hunt their prey to eat, of course, right? So when so that causes an imbalance in the prey for the snow leopards, which means if they don't eat, they die. Okay, so poaching and illegal trade. The pelt of a snow leopard is roughly $9,000 to 20,000, and if and people are actually poaching those snow leopards for those pelts more and more frequently. Okay, habitat fragmentation, building of infrastructure in their habitats and all that. That's also a major problem. That's slowly leading them to becoming endangered. And the various ways we can curb this are, one second. The various ways you can curb this are predator-proof corals. Predator-proof corals are basically upgrading traditional enclosure prevents big cats from breaking in and landing entire hubs. So if we if we keep the snow leopards to themselves, it won't lead us to killing them more and more frequent. Livestock insurance schemes and alternative livelihoods. So that's all I have about snow leopards.
Thank you. Okay, so one thing I've liked is that you guys did your research. At least there's AI for that nowadays. So thank you. That's very important when it comes to conservation storytelling. Why? Because sometimes you might talk about a species that is non-existent or extinct, and you're trying to tell it to people, and people are still wondering, is this thing existing? Does it actually live on our landscapes? So that's the one thing about conservation storytelling. Whether you're doing a film, you have to do so much background research, whether you're doing an animation, which I know you all already know that. But one thing I want us to discuss is, what stories do you think are missing? Are people talking about the bees more? Do we need to talk about bees more? Are we talking about monkeys more? And why should we talk about the monkeys? You know? So those are the things. If you are like what Colin said, he gave you an assignment. When you're thinking about a story, think about what people don't know and what they need to know. And that involves a lot of research, especially in the conservation space. The other thing is, oh wow. Are there voices you feel like are missing? Yes or no? Like what Colin said in the morning, in his session, when he mentioned that most of our stories are not told by us. They are told by other people. And that means when they're not told by us, they are told in a different perspective. How many of us grew up watching National Geographic? And how did you feel the stories talked about our wildlife? Well structured. Mm-hmm. To whose audience? Yours or theirs? They were well structured to you. Wow, which ones were these you were watching? Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Mm. Okay. And those who said they felt like the stories were not about me, but about they were being told to another audience that wasn't me. Mm-hmm. And do you feel like there was representation? Why did you feel like your continent was well represented? I don't work for National Geographic. You won't be crucified. Yeah, that's what I want to get to. When it comes to conservation storytelling, which we are talking about, it's more about conservation. I've been a conservation professional. Conservation is about people and not wildlife. That's one point you need to remember. When people talk about conservation out there, you need to remember when they're talking about it, like when we mentioned about the red colobus, we talked about deforestation. That affects people. There's a river there are crocodiles, there are Nile crocodiles. How many people are affected by that? When we talk about bees and affecting pollination, who's affected? Is it the animals will be affected or human beings more? Yeah, yeah. So conservation is more about people. Any questions? Thank you. And I want to leave you with something before Anthony comes in. What story would you tell if your goal was not awareness but action? As you think about the stories Collins told you to create, where is Collins? Think more today, it's more about action and not about awareness. Because, I mean, we are all made aware. We're all made aware about snow leopards, about the black panther, about bees, about the red colobus monkeys. But what action is being taken? Do you see any action being taken? We talked about Wangari Maathai, but a lot is happening to Karura Forest. So what action needs to be taken? And how can you make your film to be in line with the action that needs to be taken? Or how can you make your stories, like when we talked about, sorry, give me a minute, like when we talked about developing graphics, how can the graphics be focused more on action and not necessarily awareness? Yes, you can tell people the red colobus monkey is in Tana River Delta, but what action can they take to protect that species? That's the thing I want to leave you with. And we have a question. Where's the mic? It's okay. Yeah, if you want, it's fine.
So because I've been in the field for a while, I've been working for 8 years, but I came back to do 2D animation here. And my project finishes next month, and it's based on what you've just said, thinking about, it just happened randomly, because I found monkeys in my house quite often because of the expressway, and a lot of them have moved ecosystems. So now we have monkeys living with us, quite literally. So one of my projects, my animation project, is based on that, making a series. I'm just going to pitch it out here. But making a series about educating children from the age of around 9 all the way to about 18. Just, I won't call them children because by then they're adults. But I think anyone who would sit at it would understand is how we have to be a bit more careful about the kind of impact we are having with the growth that we are building. Like we're building buildings, we're building highways, building roads. We are changing the sound systems, the pathways. Let's give you the example of like elephant pathways. That is such a big thing that's been talked about internationally. But what are we doing as Kenyans? Are we remembering that if we're driving, we need to drive a bit more safer? How do we keep water out for these animals? Do we give them the space to add in to this stuff? So the series is to educate people or the kids to know that, oh, there's this species that has been affected, and how can I talk about it to somebody else who can know that if I was to leave maybe a fruit outside, it would be for the better of the animal or something, if not even interfering with them, but just giving an education system. Because I don't think also in schools they tell you anything. They just tell you there's the big five, and this is what that is. So I think it's important that we also talk about our land, and that's something that we're doing as an animation for kids.
Thank you. Claps, claps. Okay, anyone with any question? And was my session as boring as you all look tired? I hope it was not. I hope you learned something. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us on Biophilic Conversations. We share so many opportunities even for filmmakers, storytellers, animators. So yeah, if you need any opportunity, we share that there. There are no questions? What brings me joy? That's a long story. I'm sorry. Well, what gives me joy is I studied wildlife management and conservation because I wanted to work with animals, and then I got into the field. Like I said, conservation is about people, so I had no choice but to work with people. But over time, I have realized my biggest joy is seeing people appreciate nature, not just because nature gives us ecosystem services, but nature is part of us. And when people remember that nature is part of us, I always feel like we are going back to ourselves. So what brings me joy is seeing people go back to themselves and who they are and who we are as human beings. That answers it. Thank you.
How was the session? It was nice. Yes, short and sweet. Now, I know it's past lunchtime, so please forgive us. But we have saved the best for last. So I would like to welcome Anthony Ochieng, an award-winning photographer, videographer. He'll tell us more about his profile. He's one of the people who inspired me to join conservation, and I hope he will do the same to you. Sawa sawa. Welcome, Kiongozi. Yes, to this day you still inspire me.
Thank you, guys. So I think I'm gonna leave. You see the two guys at the back? Those are the guys I want to see at the back. Did you guys take a shower today? If you took a shower, come closer. Or you guys did take a shower, come closer if you took a shower. Here, next to me. Good. People love water, huh? You didn't take a shower? Oh, my man. Just come closer. You see, I don't want to see anyone behind the camera guy. Come closer to me. Good. How many can swim? If you can swim, there are rows here. It's all about water. We're talking about water today. It's all about water and fear. Okay? Can you swim? Or closer. At least you interacted with water in the morning. Eh? Good. So my name is Antonio Chieng Onyango. I am, initially, as I said, I'm a conservation photographer, filmmaker, underwater and also on land. And my background is in wildlife management. So I went to school to study wildlife, just as Vicky has said. We studied wildlife, so our code number was WLM, or I think WM. So we were saying we were doing women management, not wildlife management. But as Victoria said, we later realized that wildlife management is all about people. And that's how it switched. So I'm just going to be very brief. I'll try use slides to really help me do this with the TV. Because I feel we're in a visual class. I think visuals will help us interact more. And I can tell you guys more and more stories. So I used to be a scientist before. And ADMI, together with the French embassy, had a program. And that was in 2016. And it was a one-week training on practical editing, video editing for scientists. And I can remember sitting on that room. I'd never seen Adobe. I'd never seen anything. Were all Greek. But that is the moment I interacted with those tools in that room that you guys, I don't know what you guys call it right now, where the animation lab is. We were there with a couple of scientists. And that's why I produced my first film as a scientist. And that changed my life. And that's how I switched. I didn't necessarily switch, but I added photography into my arsenal, okay? So, I'm just gonna put in my password somewhere. And we're gonna make it more interactive as much as possible. Okay, as we figure it out, there we go. So these are just titles, but I'm going to explain just to identify who I am. So I'm a conservation photographer, underwater photographer, wildlife ecologist, and I'm a National Geographic explorer. What that means is that I've either got a grant from National Geographic to do assignments, and my current grant is in Ghana, on sharks and rays, and how fishermen. Is it okay if I stand here? Okay. And how fishermen actually working together to preserve sharks and rays. But that's not the story today. What I cannot live with. You see that question you're asking, what gives you joy? Me, what gives me joy is food, sleep, and birds. 3 things. You deny me those things, we're going to be friends. So you guys think about what gives you joy when you wake up in the morning, when you do your stuff, because that's what drives the person you become. So these are just snippets of the kind of work I do. From, that was me, way almost your size. I used to work at Giraffe Center as an educator, and that was Tarek Boys I was teaching. And then this was, I think, my second video being done after the first one at ADMI. And then lastly, just exploring the ocean now with underwater. So this is the kind of life I like really do at the moment. Like I'm a forest person, but I'm also an ocean person. So I'm torn between these 2 ecosystems. So my mind is in the forest, but my heart is in the ocean. So different ecosystem, and just be able to interact with them. So what's my story? Everybody has a story, right? You start from somewhere. And I started a bit of it when I came to ADMI not as more of like a 1 week training, and then that was it. But then it took me like another 1 year to really realize that I need to buy a camera, I need to go start shooting. I had never shot anything before, but it drove me to actually quitting my full-time job to learning photography. And in that particular process, when I was trying now to build a portfolio, one of the stories that came into mind was Nairobi River. Okay? So Nairobi River, I think this was in 2019, 2018, 2019, thereabout. So I did a story with Nairobi, but I worked with a friend of mine called Sam, who was doing restoration projects in Nairobi River, and I was like, okay, you're going to coach Korogocho. So I'll just join you, I have my camera, and I'll shoot. So created a couple of images, but I was creating images of hope. As much as Nairobi River looks like the way it looks like, there's always the way you can frame to communicate hope. When you look at the first bit or the first half of the frame, it's a nice blue sky. No, everybody loves a nice blue sky, right? But when you go down, is when now you see the troubles within it. There is a dead dog lying there, there's plastic, and these are stories that are not being told. So at that time, we did like a series of images and then build up that. But then the most important thing, people. So if you look at half of that particular slide, you can see there is a green area, which was being restored by an amazing team of people in Korogosho. And the kids had a playground to play at the end of the day. So the kids became like a symbol of hope in amidst an ecosystem that is actually being able to be depleted. So you see, this is just photography. We've not even got into filming, we've not got into puppets, we've not gone into animation. So there's a lot that is actually being able to be consumed. And you guys have the best skill set. I envy you guys because you guys are being taught how to use the tools. All you need is just some bit of, we call it aromat in our old days, and then you shine. And please stop me if you have any question. Any questions so far? Everybody is okay? Okay. So my passion career started. And when it started, it was so interesting. My first major assignment was in Uganda, where I spent time with chimps. And with these chimps, I spent like almost, I think, give or take between 6 months or so. I didn't have a job, I didn't have anything, so all I do was just pick my bag and just go. And this is how I started continuously build my portfolio. And within that particular ecosystem, that's when I learned that you can combine conservation photography as a career and call it conservation photography. It was existing as a term, but there were few Africans at that time. Right now, I am so proud to say that there are quite a number, but that time they were pretty much almost to zero in terms of our skin color. But right now, I'm happy to say that there are quite a number of people. And when you're documenting humans or you're documenting conservation stories, you need to be able to be closer. You need to be able to tell the story. Like your frame needs to be able to build up that connection with you. Like if you look at the frame on your extreme right, you'll see like the chimp is scratching itself. Most of us have that feeling of scratching between your hands. We say money is coming, right? There's a way, don't scratch it, money will disappear. So there's a way you can be able to actually tell your stories from your own perspective and be able to connect with your audience. And this is Boris. Boris is an animal keeper at the island. So the island is called Gamba Island. It's about like 1 hour away from Entebbe. And it was late in the evening, the sun was setting down, and the chimps were getting their porridge. And everyone was jumping and like, yes. They're like 98% human. So they all have feelings, everybody with their plate coming to grab a piece of it. And Boris was there just to make sure they're all served and okay. But the story about these chimps is not, it's a long story. Some of them are from pet trades, bushmeat, and also from in between airports or being in hostile communities. But the thing with chimps, it's just like humans. When you're removed from your family and taken to another family, you'll either be beaten or you won't be beaten in a human community, but somebody will look down upon you, right? It will take time for you to adjust. So the island is just like a rescue site for them to be able to build their own community from what they had before. Again, people tell the narratives. Even if you're doing an animation series, who narrates it? It's a person. Who builds the characters? It's you who builds the characters. Who builds the feelings in those particular animations? You are the one who creates those particular frames for every animation you make. So you have to be able to personify it at every particular point. So I'm a fisherman. I know that can sound differently, but I am a fisherman, and I'll always be a fisherman. So I come from an island called Rusinga Island, which is south, compass, south, what is down on this side? What is here? South? Yes, southwest, somewhere in between there. And during COVID, because that was a period where my career was like adjusting, I was at home. And one of the things I saw was there was this, if you guys know omena, you've eaten omena before. I know some of you give them to dogs or cats, but it's actually a meal. And you see, the beauty about it is that they changed the lights from what they were using before. So they were turning like yellow to white. And it was more like a ghost town. You see, like at night, when you see the lake or even in an ocean, you see like lights popping up. Like if you're in a city, they come, and there's so many of them. So you can think that, oh, it's actually a new city in the dark that has come up, but it's actually fishermen who are fishing the sardines, the scientific name for omena, that were being attracted by the lights. But they were not using kerosene anymore. They were using solar-powered lights, which so now I explain, when I grew up, I saw the yellow lights. But right now, they're white. And that's the coil town, the ghost town, fisherman story in Lake Victoria. So the moment I tried fishing at Form 2. You know when your dad tells you, do not go fishing. Form 2, I don't know what happens at Form 2. I don't know, is there Form 2 anymore? I'm not even sure. But at Form 2, our heads just decide to, like we are the people, we are the only ones, and there is nobody else stopping us. So my dad told me, do you know what? Do not attempt fishing. You are supposed to be focusing on school. But then in the night, one of the nights, I left the house, joined a friend, and then went fishing. So in the process of now putting the nets, because I just wanted to feel what exactly is fishing, yeah? And why am I being warned not to go to fish? So there was a rock that was out. So the guy at the back of the boat threw the net, and then at the moment when he was going to tie the rope, that stone-like, because it's at night, that stone-like thing wasn't a stone. Guess what it was? Huh? It was a hippo. So the best part of it was I was sitting on the side with the paddle. So you're like, everybody has panicked. So you're just like 1, 2, 3, and you're going. And the rule is when you see a hippo on shore, you go where? Up. You don't go towards the shore because it can't step down. So you move up. I literally saw the hippo next to me that night because it was a full moon. So I'll see the hippo and I'll paddle just close it. I told my colleagues, take me back to the shore. I'm going back to sleep. And that was my relationship with the fishermen. But I had to come back again because I wanted to tell a story of my people who fish, but they're using a different way of fishing. Okay? And I had to go with them fishing. There is no people hardworking like these guys, because you can imagine it's raining, they're pulling the nets, it's cold, it's in the middle of the night, and you're there with your camera, you have to tell that story. You shoot, and you have to bring that back home and show that beauty. The interesting part is I was doing it with my own community, and they actually did the whole story together with them. So it never became like an outsider coming to tell the story. It was someone from within that they knew telling the story. And it got published in a couple of areas and exhibited in Uganda, Benin, and Egypt. So different exhibitions. So you can see you can start with a local story and then build up your career based on that. You can create animation frames of stories within your house, like the cockroach, mosquitoes. Tell their story within that frame. If you're an animator, create them. Your stories are just around you. And then you build them to something that is much more global and relatable. So how many guys have seen that light? Let's see. When you guys born? Because that's a very old light. And then there is the solar-powered lights, okay? So the other light was used kerosene, and you pump, and you pump, and you pump, and then it comes out. So at that time, there's no electricity or anything. Right now, we are living in a very posh ecosystem at home, but that was not the case. The emotions of the story, the emotions are things that you need to bring up, okay? And you need to bring them out in a very subtle way. You need to understand your tool as an animator or as a photographer or as a filmmaker. How do you bring those emotions to play? And every particular frame has a story to say, okay? So think about them in that particular sequence. Again, back to conservation and what? People. There is no disconnect. Without people, there's no conservation, and that's the reality. But so many narratives have been given in the past where people within the African context have not featured within wildlife stories. And that's why we know exactly what it means to have people in that particular area. So I graduated slowly from that 1 week course to slowly YouTube, making mistakes, learning how to shoot, and then I got another assignment. And this assignment, I was shooting different ecosystems from Lake Bolosat, which is in the central area, to mangroves in Gazi. And I was creating a series of images for a festival called Earth Optimism, which we were doing together with Victoria at Gazi. Those who've been to Mikoko or Gazi Bay. How many have been to Gazi Bay? Gazi? Okay, who has been to Diani? Okay. So when you come down towards Diani, when you're going towards Tanga or Vanga, Gazi is in between. It's a restoration site for mangroves that is led by women for carbon credit. It's actually the first blue carbon credit entity that has ever existed in the whole world. Yeah. People. Who can guess where this was? Except of people I know. Anybody? Let's see. I want to choose people. Who can swim 200 meters non-stop? It's all about swimming today. How far can you swim? You can't swim. Okay. Anybody can have an idea where this was? Yes? There? The Nile? Anybody else? We are picking options. The Nile? Any idea? Okay, I'll give you clues. Savo. Anywhere in Savo that you guys can? Who comes from Savo area or Taita? Where do you guys come from in the first place? Or you guys just Nairobi people? Yeah? Where are you guys from? Yeah? The city of Nairobi. There's no elephants in the city of Nairobi, but we have elephants. Anybody? No clue? Yeah? Tanar? Nope. Okay, think about it. If you get it, I'm here. We'll talk about something different. But the thing is about people. I'll talk about that image later. But it's all about people. Our rangers for a very long time have been depicted as guys with just guns. But remember, their parents, their brothers, their sisters, their mothers, and that is a way to depict how conservation is being done. It's not being done by a ranger in the park. The ranger is just a title to just define them in an ecosystem. But these are fathers, mothers, our brothers and sisters who are working on a day-to-day basis to ensure that our wildlife is conserved, right? So they require the dignity that they deserve at any particular point. One thing I ask people is that if you go online and Google rangers in Africa and rangers in the States, can we try that? Let's try. You guys have your phones? Let's try. Rangers in Africa. Let's Google. We are Googling. You don't have a phone? You are the richest person in the building. Free will, you don't have any problem. Anybody who's Googled rangers in Africa, and then the other person can Google rangers in the States. What images do you see? Okay. It's more military based, okay. And the US side? Yeah. Nice hats, nice shirts, looking all clean, eh? So is that the true picture? It's the true picture. That is just a bit of it, but then there's a bigger picture. So when you're telling stories, you need to be able to look at it from different perspective to tell that story, because it will hit the audience differently. Okay? Hello? Hello? Are we guys winning? Okay. Again. So let me see. What do you guys feel when you see this picture? Where's the mic? I am sweating here. Where? What do you guys feel when you see that particular image?
I think it's a wholesome picture.
Okay.
I
but
feel
you feel it's a wholesome picture.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else? Yes. A mother with a child with a bond. Okay. Yes. That togetherness. Okay. Yes. Another one. You guys are animators. You can animate stories just from one image and build a whole story around it. Just one frame, and you can build a whole beautiful story. So I need you guys to start feeling, when you see frames on social media, don't look at them from a point of a technicality, but from a point of how do you feel about this particular frame. Anybody else wants to try? Yes, compassion, okay? Yeah? One more? The gentle touch. It's always about how do you feel about it. Okay? What type of images do you guys see mostly of elephants? Nice silhouettes. I'm not saying it's wrong. It forms part of the story. But you can go a step further to actually be able to explain that these elephants do not necessarily live by themselves. There are people that live around them and are actually doing livestock and all the other stuff. Okay? So conservation stories will go beyond the beauty, and they'll tell the issues that affect the wildlife, but also give a better understanding on what exactly it means to be able to tell stories about conservation. Good? Any questions? Any reactions? Yeah? Different perspective, right? Yeah? Yes. It's like part of the heart, right? Yeah. So again, perspectives. Even when you're doing animation, there's perspective. When you're editing your models, from what direction do you want me to see? Trust me, I've not gone in any animation class, so if I say something or terms do not relate it to animation, forgive me. But I'm just trying to be a creative. I'm an artist. I have to be able to tell those particular stories. Yes. We can try. We can try. That is something we can try. I think we can try it at the end, but we can try. So somebody can think about the description, and then we can try it, and then we see if it comes up. Again, people interacting with elephants. And I think one of the things we'll show here is a short film. I'll need to ask for permission. Can we show Majirani here? No, I'm asking her. Can we show it here? It's fine, okay. Yeah, so there's a film I'll show you guys, but don't record it. Even the guys who are streaming will just stop. We'll do it at the last, so we don't interfere with you guys. So you see the growth has really happened slowly by slowly. But as much as I'm telling you this from a perspective of fun, of making it easy, oh my God, it has not been easy, and I will not lie to you. First, being a Kenyan, I'm not coming from a rich family. You need to save for your equipment. You need to deny yourself some 2-3 meals. Even taking someone from a date is just work. It entails a lot. But the thing is, at the end of the day, when you have a driven passion and goal and dream, you can able to achieve it. But you need to understand that you need to fail as much as you can. Trust me, I fail every single day. Even today morning we failed, but we are surviving. My new world, totally new world. So I went to a school where I studied wildlife management, and one of the units was marine. So you can imagine you're being taught marine conservation in Eldoret, not next to the ocean. Had never been to the ocean before. I think I was in third year. I was a third year student. And one of the courses we did in that particular unit was swimming. So swimming was mandatory. Imagine, is there any course you guys know that swimming is mandatory? No, that was a mandatory. And amongst the 40 students who were in that particular class, coming from a fishing community, I knew how to swim. So we were like about 3 people who knew how to swim, and the rest were actually learning. So when we went to Kisite Mpungute, who knows where Kisite is? Kisite Mpungute? Gosh, I wish I had money. You guys need to travel. You know where it is? So when I went to Kisite for the first time, so South Coast, and I dived without the gear now. Just me learning how to swim, hold my breath. I saw these beautiful colors that remained in my heart forever. The corals, black and white fish, like they're so beautiful. And I was like, this world is so interesting. So my hope was, after I've completed campus, was I'll end up in the marine ecosystem. But life is life. Threw me into the terrestrial ecosystem, which I worked. But then when I picked a camera, it gave me another opening to go into the marine ecosystem as a photographer. Okay? And the interesting bit about it is that we are very few. Very few. I think estimating in terms of, in Africa, we can be not more than 20. So we're very few. Okay? And it's interesting. So you take red cameras, you take Canon cameras down on the water on a nice casing. I even wanted to come and carry the whole casing, but I was like, hey, I'll be overdoing it. Let me just come with the slides. It's much more safer. But I need you guys to just have a feel and interact with the equipment. I'm able to learn what exactly it entails. And we can always plan around this, but there's no diving and swimming, so that's the other part. But you can get a pool and try. But it changed my life on how I look at conservation again, because now there was this new world that very few of us have interacted with, but I was using photography to bring it closer to my own people, okay? So that you guys can actually appreciate what exactly it means to conserve on land and how you affect your activities on land can affect the ones in the ocean. You can think you're not affecting them, but trust me, you are, all the way from here, okay? So, it's 5 minutes. It's just me telling the story, but in a more different way. So let's see if it works.
The first time I went underwater, everything changed. The noise disappeared. Movement slowed. The control vanished. You're a visitor. The ocean does not perform. It does not rush. And it does not care about your plans. The environment forces humility. It teaches patience, observation, and respect for systems far larger than yourself. Those lessons make me who I am today. And this is how I tell my stories from land trees. And how I came into this particular space is a very interesting journey. I began my conservation work on land. Wide open spaces, wildlife moving through familiar ecosystems, stories many people already associate with Africa. But there was another world calling quietly from beyond the shore, one that few people spoke about, and even fewer Africans were telling the stories from the ocean. And the land taught me how deeply human and conservation challenges are. Nothing existed in isolation. Every animal story is also a human story. And every image carries consequences. These are the foundation that shaped how I approach storytelling to date. For the longest time, the ocean felt so distant, out of sight, out of frame, separate from conservation conversations happening on land. But the more I learned, the more uncomfortable that separation felt. The ocean technically regulates our climate, feeds millions.
Anyway, you guys get the thing, okay? You know, when I saw people dancing on TikTok and making money, I decided even me, I will go on YouTube. Again, branding and also planning yourself ahead. There are always different ways of making an income. And these are just ways you can able to explore. So I'm just trying out. So if you're kind enough, you can go say hi. You can, how do you guys say it? In TikTok, what do you guys do? Alliance and stuff. But yes, just be able to enjoy that. But you guys can find it online. So I didn't limit myself to photography just with the camera alone, but even went into drones. And then drones, I'm able to get different perspective. This is still in Gazi. From above, it was just early in the morning. And the stars, the clouds were still very high up. And then there was a reflection on the ocean. And this was actually directed by the least person you can think in a crew, the driver. So everybody in your team is important, regardless of whatever situation they are in. So in the middle here is James. And James was the one driving us around doing the story. And James was like, Tony, can that drone face down? You listen, right? You're like, let me try it out. And boom, the image is there. And this image has actually been a very nice image to me because it has given me like almost to about $4,000 or take in the lifetime of an image. So you can able to see how important it is to work with teams. So everybody in your team is important, regardless of whatever idea they are putting, just listen to that particular concept, okay? I know as creatives we can be like, ni mimi, ni mimi. But sometimes, fungua tu mlango, kidogo, and then have that conversation. I don't know what's going on, but ni sawa. When you move from the mangroves, there's seagrasses. Just as the same way, there's the forests and then the grass. So in the ocean, there's mangroves and then there's seagrasses. So seagrasses, and those are mangrove roots. And you can tell different stories, and these are oysters on the mangroves. And if you look at oysters across the African continent, they're actually food and also being propagated like in Ghana, in Cameroon, in Senegal. You can able to get more about those particular stories. But to be honest, I am a scientist, yes, but what I'm learning right now when I travel and document is way too much or way advanced than what I even got from campus. So I'm always a learning student, regardless of whatever ecosystem I find myself. Again, this is just Indiani, the green turtle. And when you're getting into underwater, and I'm just showing these frames, especially for the animators, I really want to see ocean animations. And I think we are here to help. If you're stuck, we can able to help you guys with the storyline draft. But I would love to see TikTok reels of animations of oceans in Kenya alone. And it just has to start with a spark, with the idea, and then I just build up to that. Who knows this song? Jonah alifanya nini? Yeah, the famous Fishy Fishy John and whatever happened. So this is a whale shark in Mafia Island in Tanzania. This is my good friend Shamir, who's down here. And then the whale shark. But this is a baby whale shark. So there's a mother, father, which is much more bigger. You're looking at me like you're scared. It's beautiful. I'll be honest, I was scared. The first time I was doing this, you know when you're diving without now the gas cylinders and stuff, you're doing free diving because these ones you can only do with free diving. You can't do with the gas. So I was free diving, and I was looking through the frame, and I was taking that particular shot. And the whale shark was just coming and coming. But when I just lifted my head like this and saw how big it was, I was just like, oh my God, this thing is big. And that's where my oxygen cut, we go up. Running, you're up to breathe because it's so beautiful. For the first time for me to see it, it was mind-blowing. And I'm just happy to take images to come and share so that you guys can be able to get that spark to go in the ocean and look at it from a point of conserving it rather than destroying it from where you are at land. Okay? This is what we see most of the time, right? This is the Ghana coastline. And this is it. If you go to Diani, you can't find this. But the reason why this is happening is because if you look at the Gulf countries, every single plastic just moves around. So it can come from Kenya somewhere and just moves around. It ends up in a shore somewhere in the western side of the country. So unaweza kuwa hapo unakula Big G ndio hiyo shu karatasi hiyo shu. I know. Kanjo iko itasafisha. I don't care. Ni sawa. But at some point, a collective bargain has a bigger impact, either on a positive side or a negative side. So it's your choice. I can't teach you guys to conserve the environment, but I can just get into your hearts to tell you that you need to be able to conserve whatever you have. Yeah. So just a glimpse of my assignment for Nat Geo. Just a glimpse. So this is what I'm doing. I'm looking at how sharks and rays are being fished in Ghana. Just a glimpse. It's not supposed to be online, but I'll just jump it very fast. Yeah. Any questions so far? Yes. Or am I that boring? Oof. Yes. Where's the mic? To hold my breath. Free diving. Oh, right now I'm so bad at it. Less than 3 minutes. But I can go to about 6 meters and then back. But with the tank, you can, when you're shallow, you can spend like an hour and a half. When you go deeper, you can spend like an hour. Or if you're trained to use different gases like nitrox, you can spend much more longer hours to shoot underwater. So depending on what. So please do not go attempt this at home without getting proper certification. One, you need to get a diving certification, and also you need to get a free diving certification and training. It feeds part of your arsenal. It's like ushaona mtu anaenda soko pale Kafu, anaokota, anasema mkati ndio imeingia, kajam kameingia. Hivyo tu. At the end of the day, when you ukipaka hiyo mkate siagi vizuri na weke, and then you do that bite, that is how you look at your career. You have it in your bag, okay? And then you are doing shopping. You're looking at what works for you and what will make you what? Happy. You put it in that bag. Will you pick, and that is why I actually use that particular example, because will you pick something you're never going to use? Let's say you're picking Pampers and you don't have kids. So you see, now when you look at your career, you don't pick things that you don't have to. So you need to figure out, what do I put on my bag? So when I leave that shop, I know I have this arsenal of bags that is going to make me a very nice meal. So think about life in those simplicities. Yeah. Any question?
How did you become a Nat Geo fellow? Explorer, I mean.
Explorer. So I applied for a grant. I think I applied the first time, got rejected. The second time, got rejected. The third time, got rejected. And then the fourth time, it was like, here we go. So rejections are part of the process that I don't necessarily mention, but they're there. Yeah.
Other question, follow up. So when did you start marine photography? Was it like before or after the fellowship, the exploring thing?
So I'll say I started before, but I didn't start by picking a camera. I am a crazy human being about photo books. So even before I bought my camera, I was just looking at photo books. I will stock Africa Geographic, Nat Geo, and I had this photo book from Laikipia that had these beautiful images by Tweedy Roy, who's a female photographer. And I was looking at these images and I was just like, I didn't know I was inherently training my eye to be a photographer. So imagine 5 years interacting with images. I work in the wildlife space, so I was just seeing them. And then I worked for BirdLife. BirdLife International had a magazine that was coming all the way from the UK, and I would get a copy, and I was like, these images of birds are interesting. And I would be like, can I actually do that? And that's how the switch happened. But it took a period of time, yeah. Okay? So current projects. Here you go. You're talking about the bongo stories later. So I've been having fun with the bongos. A lot of fun. So these are just a couple of images. And then lastly, I want you guys to invite you 31st to 1st June. We're having an exhibition, my first solo exhibition at the Hub Karen, purely for bongos, World Bongo Day. So you guys are invited. It is free. It is free, but you can come and buy me an ice cream. I wouldn't mind. And then one thing that you have to notice as people is that you need to be able to give back to your community. And this is just one way to give back. Taking my time, spending time with you guys, and be able to just share is one way to give back. So we have a foundation called 20 Wild Foundation that mainly teaches young people about conservation photography, gives them access to parks, and also support them in education, environmental education aspect. And this is where most of our work goes to. And supported by Victoria, who's part of my team, and many other individuals who are part of the team. So to give way of giving hope to younger people to be able to access parks, give them cameras, and they can tell their stories from their own frames. And trust me, we are never afraid of giving them our cameras because they'll protect them. They will actually, they enjoy doing it in that particular sense. And that is one way of giving back. So if you're doing an animation, try as much as possible and think about, how do I give back? How do I train younger people? How do I increase? You can even train me in animation. I wouldn't mind, but you need to be able to expand your scope. So things that make me happy: dream, plan, work smart, self-discipline. Please fail. Fail. And again, fail and fail and fail. But the most important thing is learn and grow. So it's just, so this is how the equipment looks like underwater. So it has like strobes on the side. So these are the strobes, and then the housing, the camera is inside there. And then you have the diving gear at the back. So you're able to, so I'm breathing, I'm not dying inside there. And then you're able to take pictures. And you're always a number of people, 2 or 3 people. Yeah. So you can bring any type of camera, provide it as a housing underwater. Even GoPros can go right now, like a lot. You don't need to get a high-end gear to start. You just need to start from somewhere and then build it up. I don't know what's on the next slide. Oh, that one. If you're kind enough to follow. So you love what I do, you can too. It's just you to believe in yourself. Okay? Am I that boring? Yes. I think we've got 2 interns. Vicky? We've got 2 interns from ADMI at some point, right? 1, yes, we've got 1. At some point we got 1. But as much as we have, it's always, it's not cheap to host an intern. It's work. So right now we are taking like a sabbatical on the same, but we hope to revive it at some point. But again, jitume. If you are interested and you're really willing, we're jitume. Yeah. So, but the thing is, right now we are not taking interns at the moment, but we hope we can revive it at some point. Yeah. Any questions? Mentorship. So there's a mentorship that he mentioned, and also there's a mentorship on my website. If you go to my website, you'll find another mentorship. So they're paid mentorship versions, depending on what you really want. Because I also want to learn what do you really want to gain from that particular process. I actually say that there's nothing for free. Even if you're spending your time, you only need to show me what value are you paying, even if it's for yourself, to be able to learn that particular skill. And that can be you dedicating your time. If you show me that, I'm not saying I'll waiver it, but it will give me the hope that you will be part of a given growing community that needs to tell conservation stories. But nothing is for free. Even coming here, so mulitumia matatu. So there's nothing for free. I would love to bring, this is free. This is now free, but it's not free. We have to pay for Uber, time. You see, those are things that we don't take into consideration. So when you're coming in as a mentee, also know you're putting something on the table. Your time, your passion, your mistakes, and allowing criticism that can sometimes come out so harsh, but you have to adjust with them. Yeah. Any question? Yes.
One more. So I do animation. One of the skills that we've learned in animation is 3D modeling and design. So, and we've learned some specific skills where we can recreate the environments. So I want to understand what kind of impact do that kind of skill set can have with conservation.
Okay. So I think those environments, do you want me to relate it to the skill of animation to conservation, or do you want me to relate it in terms of?
I want you to rate it in terms of what opportunities are there.
Opportunities.
Yes.
There is a lot of opportunities. It's you to look at them from that particular sport. If you look at all the images I've shared, there's always a story for each and every image. So if you're modeling like the bongos, if you're modeling the sharks, if you're modeling like how many species of birds? We have like 1,100 species of birds in East Africa. Each bird has a story. So imagine you go and buy a bird book or even online and then animate them to the environment they're part of and start just talking yourself as a bird animator. Not a BAD, but a bird animator. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe when it comes to that, you can check Pungulupa. They're called Pungulupa for, yeah, because they've done for a whole conservation series for kids. So you can get the whole idea and aspect from that. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And also when it comes to internships and stuff, one of the things we've learned is like Tony bought a whole underwater camera. If you Google how much underwater camera, it's expensive. And one of the things we've done is even before we started getting jobs as Tony Wild for production, we did our own films first. Or we applied for grants. No one will hire you or work with you if they can't trust your work. And then we also talked about, I think, if the work you've done is outside conservation, why not start thinking about conservation itself? Because even right now, when I'm seated here, I've seen a bird that has been feeding on meat for the whole entire Anthony session. That's a whole story on city birds. How are city birds surviving with all these skyscrapers? Like, think about the stories around you. Don't think about, oh, I want to go to Kisite, which you've never been. You've all said you're Nairobi kids. I was also born and raised in Nairobi. But there are stories around us. There's Karura Forest. There's these city birds. I used to, when I was writing, I had a series called City Birds, and I talked about all bird species that are in Nairobi City, and they're still surviving and thriving. So don't think about all the stories that are far beyond, where you'll go to a national park and be told, where is your permit for filming? Think about the stories that are around you, like for her and the monkeys that are around her. Don't think about something that's far.